Are you tired of feeling trapped in the endless cycle of anxiety? If so, you're not alone.
Great.
In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 tips that are going to help you break the anxiety cycle once and for all. I've used them in my own life, and I've used them to help people, thousands of people, over the 23 years that I've worked as a clinical psychologist. So I know it can help you today.
Like a lot.
Okay, let's get right into it. So the first tip on how to break the anxiety cycle is you need to increase your awareness of when it is actually happening in your head. In other words, when that cycle begins, most of us have no clue that it's starting. How can we increase our awareness so that we can stop it in its tracks? Well, there's a great technique out there, okay? And I'm going to go through it with you. But what we call it is situational tracking, okay? So what I want you to do is to get a piece of paper. I want you to make columns on the piece of paper. So on the left side, I want you to put the situation. In the middle section, I want you to put, what are my thoughts? And on the right side, the third column, I want you to put, what am I feeling? So it's situation, thoughts, and feelings. And what I want you to do every day, as many times a day as you can. Now, keep in mind, an easy way to do this will be a journal. Keep a journal with you. You can do this 3 to 5 times a day. It's very quick. It takes about 3 minutes to do it. Now, is that 3 minutes well spent? Yes. That's 3 minutes that's going to change your life if you do this for about a week or so, okay?
I got a really bad feeling about this.
Every time you catch yourself going down that anxiety rabbit hole, getting into the anxiety cycle, I want you to stop and I want you to start writing. What is the situation? So for instance, I'm sitting here filming a video. That would be the situation for me right now. What are my thoughts? My thoughts are, is anybody going to watch this video? I also have the thought, is this going to be a good video? Is the lighting right? Do I look weird? These are thoughts that I could say I have right now. What are the emotions, okay, the third column, that I'm feeling right now? A little anxious, a little worried, okay? So that would be a situation, a thought, or several thoughts, because you don't just have one, and then the emotions associated with it. You close the journal up and you move on, go on about your day. You track it once, okay, you've increased your awareness a little bit. You track it again, you find another situation. Okay, you do this again, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. That's 1 day. You do it again, 2 days, 3 days. You get the idea here. After about a week, you're gonna start noticing patterns. And here's the powerful tip here. You're gonna notice what situations are the biggest triggers for you getting into that anxiety cycle. So you're gonna notice, maybe it's when I talk to my mom. Maybe it's when I go to class. Maybe it's when I talk to my boss at work. Maybe it's when my spouse brings up our relationship. I don't know. You're gonna start seeing patterns. Certain situations bring up more thoughts that are anxious. So, this is a powerful tip for you to start breaking the anxiety cycle. Do this today and commit to it for at least a week. And you're gonna notice a huge difference.
And totally redeem yourself!
Okay, so step 2, or tip number 2, is a conceptual one. I want you right now to commit to taking action instead of avoiding things. And I say that because this is a very important part of the anxiety cycle. Anxiety gets worse when we avoid things, when we run from things, when we hide from the things that are making us stressed out and anxious. Okay? So if part one, right, you started tracking and now you've got some certain situations that are big triggers for the anxiety cycle, and you notice that it's certain people, your mom, your spouse, your ex, who knows. Once you start noticing that, I want you to commit to dealing or coping, taking some sort of action in a positive way instead of running away or avoiding. Because when you run away from the situation, you don't have the conversations that you need to be having, of course you're going to get more anxious because you haven't dealt with it. You've left the situation right there. You've left the trigger there. You've left the problem there, which means you're going to have to deal with it again and again and again and again. It's going to get worse and worse and more scary. I want you to commit to coping, taking action, doing something to resolve the anxiety rather than running from it. Okay, now my final tip here on how to start breaking the anxiety cycle once and for all in your life. Okay, this is a good one. I want you to start building mindfulness and mindful presence in your everyday life. You've probably heard of the term mindfulness. If you haven't, there's videos galore out there on what it is. But basically, mindfulness is staying in the moment. Staying in the moment right now, right here. Not judging, just noticing, being in the moment. What is anxiety? Anxiety is thinking about things in the future that haven't happened yet, usually bad things, right? How everything's going to go wrong in the future. And anxiety is also ruminating about things in the past, things that went wrong, ways that you screwed up. So anxiety means you're not in the moment. It means you're either in the future or you're in the past. Okay? Mindfulness, staying in the moment is so important. How can you start building that in your life if you don't want to go out there and take an advanced yoga for moms class? Well, here's some ways to do it. Number one, just start noticing your breathing. When you get stressed out, when you get anxious, your breathing is going to change. I guarantee it. For instance, when I'm in traffic, I notice my muscles. When I'm driving in traffic, I notice my muscles get tight. I also notice I start breathing more shallow. When I bring my attention to my breathing and I slow it down and I make it a little bit more full, I'm now back in the moment instead of thinking about all the things that are going wrong and are gonna go wrong in my life. So whenever you find yourself feeling anxious, bring your attention to your breathing. That's one way to do it. Number two, try to walk more mindfully. This might sound silly, but think about how much walking you do on a daily basis. You walk to and fro, you walk into work, you walk out of work. We do a lot of walking. How often do you ever sit there and notice how you walk? How your foot hits. Does the inside of your foot hit first? Does the outside of your foot? Are you a heel walker? I always joke with my daughter, she walks on her heels more than her toes. Or do you walk on your toes and your heels don't even touch? Do you have a big arm swing when you walk? Or do you not swing your arms at all? There are so many aspects to the aspect of walking that when you pay attention to them, you'll be much more mindful. You'll be in the moment. A third way to be more mindful is eating. Pay attention to everything when you eat. Pay attention to portion size. Pay attention to how many bites it takes you to work through that sandwich. You'd be surprised how quickly you gobble stuff up. Yes! Pay attention to texture. Pay attention to the taste. What makes it taste so good? When you're being mindful, when you're eating, you're present. You're there and now. So that's 3 ways you can be more mindful. And when you combine that with tip number 2 and tip number 1 that I already discussed, you will be able to, I promise you, break the anxiety cycle once and for all. And you'll be back in your life and you'll be a happier person.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Let me know in the comments which one of these tips is your favorite and what's worked for you. And thank you for being a part of my community. I'm Dr. Leigh Smith, and I'll see you in the next video.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.